Okay, so welcome back once again. Like we're saying, we are looking at this question for May 2019, and it's a manufacturing question. So we are saying that following trial balance was extracted from the books of Jito Limited, the manufacturer of textile materials, for their ended that. So they have given us share capital, which we have this amount. It's on the credit side because share capital is equity and equity has a normal credit balance. They go ahead to give us inventory on 1st January 2018. Now, we know very well that when it comes to manufacturing accounts, we usually have inventory in 3 categories. We usually have inventory that is raw material. We usually have inventory that is work in progress. And then we usually have inventory which are finished goods. That is a very key stick when it comes to manufacturing companies. And then they are giving us now, of course, this inventory they have given us is 1st January 2018. And remember, these books are being prepared for their ended 31st December 2018. So it means that these inventories are what they started with at the start of the financial year. And we know how to use each of them. We know very well that when it comes to the finished textile materials, we shall use this within our P&L when we are calculating our cost of sales. We know that these raw materials, we shall use them when we are calculating our prime cost in the manufacturing cost statement. We know that work in progress, we shall also be used within the manufacturing cost statement when we are trying to look at the change in work in progress. That is what we basically know. So you need to know what each of these figures you're going to use them for, even as you read through. And then we also proceed to plant and machinery at cost. So plant and machinery at cost, of course, this should be able to give you some insight. We know very well that as they have given it this at cost, there should be a value of the accumulated depreciation, which is right here, okay? So this, for you, all you need to know is what is the method of depreciation so that you know which figure to use. Either if it's straight line, you know, we shall use the 700 as it is. If it's reducing balance, we shall get this, reduce it by what we have as accumulated depreciation as of to date. And then the difference will be able to give us the net book value, which we shall subject to our what? Our percentage, okay? So that is what we basically need to be able to know. Now, with that in mind, if that is the case, the next thing that we shall also now look at is the delivery truck. As we can see, we have a delivery truck here, which is at 60,000. So this delivery truck, I'll be able to also know that it's accumulated depreciation right down here. And then we have what we call the bank balance, which is 6,000, okay? Now, this bank balance, it's a bit unique. It is on the credit side, as you can see here. Now, it being on the credit side here means that this bank is actually a bank overdraft, okay? We know very well that bank is like cash, and it has a normal debit balance. But if we are seeing it being on the credit side here as 6,000, that alone should be able to help us know how to treat it. So this is a bank overdraft, okay? And you know that bank overdrafts are not recorded under assets, are rather recorded under liabilities, okay? So that is very, very important. So having said that, okay, having that in mind, I was now to proceed to purchase of raw materials, which is 915,800. Now, of course, we know where to use this. We know that if it's purchase of raw, remember, when it comes to manufacturing, we have purchase of raw materials. And then these purchase of raw materials are used within the manufacturing cost statement to determine the cost of production. So these purchase of raw materials will be used with this raw materials we have here when we are trying to calculate what we have as our prime cost for raw materials, okay? And then the next thing we also have what we call The next thing we also have is what we call utilities. These are our expenses. As you can see, we have utilities, we have salaries, we have factory labor. Now, when it comes to expenses, when you're looking at manufacturing account, okay, what you need to know here is which expenses relate, am I going to use in the manufacturing cost statement, and which expenses will I use when I'm now doing my P&L. Now, anything that relates to the factory, any expense that relates to the factory would definitely be able to be included there. Purchase of raw materials, somebody says more clarity on purchase of raw materials. You're going to see how we are going to apply this. I just wanted to give a slight kind of introduction on this. We are going to use this purchase of raw materials when we are trying to look at our manufacturing cost statement. Okay, we are going to see when you are calculating prime costs. Just wait us to get that point of time. You will see how we shall apply it. Maybe you'll be able to understand it much better. So utilities and salaries, we know that these ones will go into, let's say, the general P&L. Now, sometimes the examiner will give you additional information of how to allocate each of these. And this is, as we proceed down here, you get to realize that they give you a distribution of what relates to factory, what relates to office and administration, and then what relates to selling. Okay, so that is what exactly it does. So with that in mind, we now proceed back to what we have here. So we shall divide these according to the ratios they have given us down when it comes to that. Then factory labor, this one is very direct. Okay, when we are calculating our cost of production in the manufacturing cost statement, that's where we shall use it. Then we have trade show exhibition expenses. We know where these lie. These are basically selling, and that's kind of selling and distribution expenses. Okay, unless advised otherwise. Renting and rates, in the same way, renting and rates, in most cases, they will divide the rent and rates depending on how they are being utilized by the factory, office, and administration. We know that this 60% will go in the manufacturing cost statement, and then we know that 20% and this 20% will go when we are trying to do our overall P&L. Now, as you can see, I'm trying to speak of a cost statement because we have two categories. We have a manufacturing cost statement, a statement of manufacturing cost, and then we have a statement of P&L. So anything relating to the factory, anything related to production goes in this statement. Anything else that relates to the organization, office and administration, and then we have the selling and distribution all go within here. Now, the reason why we start with this statement of manufacturing cost is because we get what we call the cost of production that we include within our P&L. Okay, because you know the format of P&L. Where we do sales, then less cost of sales. So under cost of sales, the figure that we use, okay, where we put purchases, is coming from the manufacturing cost statement, as we shall see how we proceed. Okay, just try to be very attentive. And then we have our sales. These sales definitely go to our P&L directly. Then we have general office expenses right there. This, unless advised otherwise, they go to our P&L. Then we have trade receivables and trade payables. Definitely this will go to our statement of financial position, just in case it has been asked, which is right here. They have given it a very few marks, okay, meaning it's not very detailed. So they also come here and they tell us something about additional information. So they're telling us that rent and rates had been paid for a period 1st January 2018 to 31st March 2019, while utilities 4.8 was outstanding by the year end. Rent and rates accrue evenly throughout the year. That is the first thing they have told us. Then they come here and also tell us that cotton bales bought at shillings 25.6 million, including in purchases, were stained by smoke during a fire outbreak and subsequently sold for 10 million. this entire transaction has not been recorded in the books of accounts. Okay, and then they go ahead to tell us that included in the factory labor is shillings 21.6 million in wages advanced to 10 factory workers during the year. The amount had not been recovered by the end of the year. And then they go and tell us that 5/6 of the factory labor relates to direct costs, and the balance relates to factory overheads. We'll see how to play all this. And then we come here where they tell us about how they allocate the different costs, and then they give us this information. Okay, so that should be able to give you a good indication of what your journey looks like. Okay, so let's just start on this, just a moment, so that I just confirm that to those that have been part of these sessions, does this seem to be something that you familiar to you, such a question? Because I remember us doing this question at one point in time. I just want to confirm if we have done this before. Anyone who remembers the question? Those that were part of the class. Okay, so I confirm that this I already have part of these recordings. Let me just try to show you. Part of these recordings I shared with you. You can see right here in the manufacturing accounts this specific recordings around this question. So I want to, you can see, I think you can see from my screen there. I was just trying to confirm when I was reading through the question, it would show me that we did this. So what you basically do is you at least have the recorded video. You'll try to go through this. I want us to try out another question that is not here. Okay, yeah. So I'm surprised that some of you have not gone through this thing. Yet you have it. Maybe it's because it's at the bottom. Anyway. So you can basically see that we already did it. So for you to benefit much more, I feel I can try out another question that can give you more help. Okay, yeah, more help. So thank you for understanding towards that. You know, when you try out more questions, there's a way it helps you and it builds your confidence, even for any other further kind of questions. Okay, yeah. Let me see when this question was set again, so that we can do something that's a bit fresh for your mind. Anyone has come across a question on manufacturing? Apart from the question of last exam, I don't want to do the question of last exam because some people here did the paper, so I don't want to disturb you psychologically? Okay, anyone who has come across a question? Okay, let's do this. So there's this question. It's November 2018. It even has partnerships in it. It's for Namboze. At this, I'm very sure we have not done this one. It can help us. It can help us a great deal. It will help us a great deal, a great deal, a great deal, a great deal. So let me just save it so we can start. Huh? I'm sorry. This is November 2018. Okay, Ramadan, thank you so much. Ramadan had already given us a question. But nevertheless, this will also give us the knowledge, okay? And I want to share with you. So